Department, Continuum of Care Division, and I work very closely with Laura. She is currently out of the office and has graciously given me the space to help facilitate this meeting. So I'll be getting us through today's agenda, and you can rest assured that Laura will be back with us next week when she is better. So she's still very much with us. She just is not able to be with us today. So it's 2:02. We're going to give it one more minute before officially getting started. Thank you. All right, it's 2:03, and I think we have a good group of you in attendance, 34. And I know we're still getting some requests, but we'll go ahead and get started. Once again, my name is Tanya Torno, and I am with the county's Housing and Workforce Solutions Department. I'm filling in for Laura Gonzalez, who is our point-in-time count coordinator. She is out of the office and has given me the green light to conduct this meeting in her absence. This is an important meeting because I know over the course of the last week, we have sent several messages to each of you, our stakeholders, regarding the point-in-time count. And so we have some very important updates to provide to you. In addition, we definitely want to get feedback from you all on the count and the impact that your jurisdictions have seen or have had in planning the event, but also in light of the current COVID surge. But before we get there, I just want to, again, encourage you, if you can, please sign in by typing in your name and agency that you represent in the chat box so we can give you credit for participating. So with that, Monique, we can go ahead and jump forward with the next slide, which just provides a brief overview of our agenda. We'll provide you with some planning updates that I hinted to a few minutes ago. We'll review some updates regarding the 2022 soft count, specifically looking at the new dates for those. And then we'll allow for AJ Vasquez, whom you guys have all gotten to know very well, who is with our youth point-in-time count planning team, and also Operation Safe House, to hear updates on that as well. And before we adjourn, I promise you we do have time set aside for discussion. We'd love to hear from you and get feedback for you on our progress. With that, we can move forward. And the big news that we hinted to last week is that our team had been in conversation, or has been in conversation, with the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. We know them as HUD, regarding the count. As you know, last year the count was canceled because of the COVID surge. This year, and specifically towards the end of last week, HUD released an announcement encouraging continuums of care to request an exception to the time frame that would allow them to conduct the count towards the last 10 days in February for good cause. That good cause being the Omicron surge. All of us know that the importance of the count really is stressed because it impacts our funding that we receive both on a federal and state level to address homelessness. And as a result, getting to an accurate count across all of our jurisdictions is truly, truly important. So upon receiving that news, our team with our county executive office discussed the need to apply for this exception. And aside from really looking at the accuracy of the count with the COVID surge, we were really looking at making sure that we place the proper safeguards. We're recruiting community volunteers, and we know that you are using staff within your teams as well as county staff to conduct the count. And so as a result, we decided to move forward with submitting a request for the exception. And on January 11th, so on Tuesday of this week, we received approval to do that. What we do know is that a lot of COCs, a lot of counties in the state have already requested the exemption, like Riverside. There are others like LA County who are still pending and deciding exactly how they're going to move forward. San Bernardino County has elected to maintain the original date of the count, so they're going to go ahead and keep the count for January. Again, our decision was really based on looking at our current numbers, the number of COVID cases countywide, and really recognizing that, whether we have the count in January or February, that really doesn't impact or have a negative result on the results itself, but would allow us to really obtain some good volunteer participation and ensure that the day of the count, we're not in a situation where staff capacity is an issue. Monique, I'm no longer seeing the slides. Would you like me to share them?
Can you
we can see them now. Yes.
Okay, can you see a full screen?
It's broken out, but it's okay. I mean, I can see them unless others have a concern, but it's okay. So with that said, we have identified the new dates which fall within the last 10 days of February and have now rescheduled the count for February 23rd through the 25th. Those are the last 3 working days in February, and we are in the process of updating all of our flyers, all of our marketing material, which we will get out to you as soon as possible to reflect those dates. As I mentioned earlier, we are very much still working on recruiting community volunteers. When we last checked our volunteer portal, we had 374 volunteers registered. And again, that was as of a week ago. So it definitely speaks to, I think, right, the community is recognizing the value in having the count, and I think more than ever, people really wanting to make an impact and help, their neighbors in resolving their housing crisis. So 374, believe it or not, in the midst of this current climate, again, speaks to the commitment that we have from our friends and neighbors who want to join in and help us address homelessness. So very, very surprising. And I think we want to make sure we can keep momentum and feel that with the new targeted dates in February that we'll be able to do that. We are also very much focusing our efforts on recruiting county staff across our various departments to support local jurisdictions. So for cities who are on the line, we want you to know that we are thinking of you. We recognize that your capacity may be also impacted. And so please let us know what your needs are, communicate with us. We are happy to help redirect county staff to your jurisdictions to help facilitate the count. We're also working on ordering a mass supply of N95 masks. Again, really looking at safety for everyone conducting the count, but of course also the people that we're serving who are unsheltered and are going to be in contact with us. Lastly, we are, as a result of the surge and really looking at public health safety, eliminating the More Than a Count initiative. This, if you recall, was our focus on providing housing and services linkages the day of the count itself. And while this is eliminated, the day of the count, what I think is really important for us as a department to stress is that housing and service linkages are being made every single day. So if you are connected to someone right now who is experiencing homelessness in your jurisdiction, and you would like to facilitate a housing and service linkage, please connect them to our Home Connect hotline. I have that number on the screen. I know many of you already have it. You can also email our team if you feel you need additional support at coc@rivco.org. Again, we are responsible, our mission 24/7, and it's the reason I wake up and go to work every day. I know a lot of you guys do too, is to solve homelessness. And so because we're eliminating the More Than a Count initiative does not mean that we're not, we're going to stop and facilitate these linkages. So if you have people in your community, please continue to refer them to us. And if you feel that maybe a more concentrated or special effort needs to be launched to support individuals in your community, reach out to us. We would be happy to coordinate something with you on a separate date. But really, the day of the count, the week of the count, we want to make sure that the focus is truly on getting as accurate numbers as possible so that we can continue to maximize the amount of federal and state funding and resources that our community receives. So I'll go over the next slide briefly, and then I think I'm going to pause for any questions before we move forward through the rest of the segment. On the screen, you'll see the new dates as I just described, the street-based count being February 23rd. Each city can set their own start date, and as those of you that have conducted the count in the past know, the end date really depends on each group that goes out and how quickly they are able to facilitate surveys in that area, but approximately most groups end by 9:30 a.m. The service-based count will continue for 3 days. This is, the initiative in which we identify food pantries and other sites where homeless people tend to congregate so that we can go out and make sure that, or to target those areas to make sure that we can survey those individuals and include them in the count. We'll continue with the unincorporated count 7 days after the 25th. As you know, a lot of those unincorporated areas are a little bit harder to access, and so we have our targeted teams that will be going out, such as our county behavioral health and county sheriff hot teams. And then, of course, when we talk about the count, we can't eliminate the fact and be proud that Riverside County continues to hold separate events or targeted events to count youth who are experiencing homelessness. We know that there's a great benefit to targeting them in a special way, but also making sure that we have an infused amount of resources at our Come and Connected or Magnet events that essentially will, serve as resource fairs and be facilitated in each supervisory district. So those dates are here before you. And I think before I move on, I'll go ahead and stop there and just kind of get a sense for people's responses to or feelings to the new dates and the other information that was shared. Okay.
Hey, Tanya, we had a question in the chat here from Emma. Have the survey questions been finalized yet?
So Emma, have the survey questions been finalized yet? I will be honest, I'll have to double check. I know that the survey questions are generally approved or reviewed and approved by our Continuum of Care membership body. And I'll have to circle back with Laura when she gets back on Monday to determine if we've gone through that process yet. So if it's okay with you, Emma, what I can do is send an email to this group once I receive confirmation. Emma, I'm curious, in regards to your question, were were there edits that you wanted to make? Did you want to add a question? If you'd like to type in the chat box, or if you'd like to unmute your microphone, we'd love to hear you. And actually, I'm continuing to read. So Avalon said, here to advocate for adding a specific question, would like to know if that will be discussed today. So great.
Yeah. So we're all here from Starting Over Inc. We are a transitional housing and reentry services provider based in the city of Riverside. And we were present at a prior meeting to advocate for adding questions about specifically tracking the number of formerly incarcerated folks within the homeless population in Riverside County, and are still really hopeful that we can get some of those questions added to the survey, because there's basically no data or information about that kind of intersection of formerly incarcerated folks and people on parole and probation, and the homeless community. Thanks.
Thanks for sharing that. Jonathan, Monique, real quickly, do you know if the survey questions have already been finalized? It's okay if you don't know, but I'm just curious. I know you guys have been pretty active with this effort.
I think that would be a question for Nathan.
Or Nathan.
Okay. I don't know if Nathan has jumped on the line yet. He may not know the answer to that question. So we'll circle back and I will make sure to get you guys an answer. But I think we're all in favor of making sure that, we use the count to collect as much demographic information we can about individuals, so that the whole purpose, aside from obtaining funding, is to really make sure that we can use the information to develop programs that really serve the people in need. So thank you for that recommendation, Avalon. This meeting is being recorded, so I will be held accountable, and we'll make sure to circle back with you. Any other questions, thoughts, feelings about the new dates or the count itself? Okay, well, there will be other points of discussion throughout this meeting, so it's completely okay to hold off until later. We'll move forward to the next slide. And this really just provides an overview. I won't go too much in depth about the survey base count, which I spoke to, again, targeting people that are experiencing homelessness in areas where we know that they go to access services. And then the unincorporated count, again, shout out to our Riverside County HOT team, behavioral health, code enforcement, and other street outreach teams who will be working with us to target those harder to reach areas and persons. Next slide. This, we wanted to let you guys know that in regards to the survey tool itself, you know, we will continue to use the same platform. That has not changed. We have made major progress when it comes to incentive bags. We had an event last week in which many of you and other stakeholders got together to assemble these kits, and we had great success. We assembled 1,500 bags. We met our goal for the general point in time count, and I was told by Monique Guerra, who's our youth coordinator, that we also successfully put together 400 kits for the youth point in time count. So we just want to thank everyone for, again, really helping us market the point in time count itself, but also helping us secure the donations needed so that as we connect with individuals the day of the count, that, you know, we can leave them with some critical items that they need to survive. And so with that, next slide. I announced this earlier, but, you know, we are going to be updating our flyers, so to be continued. But we just want to encourage you guys to continue following us at Rivco COC on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. You have our profile pages linked there, and help us share those events. Again, 374 volunteers have already been identified, but we are still short. If you've been participating in these meetings since day one, you know we're shooting for 700 volunteers. We have a little more than 30 days to get to that goal, and I think so far we can all be really proud of the progress that we have made so far. I see that Jonathan put our social media links in the chat box. Feel free throughout this meeting or even now to click on those and add us. We'd love to have you share our page. So again, we're continuing with volunteer recruitment. One thing that we really wanted to stress in this section is that as part of our public safety initiative, we want to make sure that volunteers who participate in the count are fully vaccinated. And so we are strongly encouraging folks to get boosted. A lot of guidance around the current Omicron surge suggests that individuals who have the booster are less likely to experience significant symptoms. And so again, you'll be seeing more public awareness from our team around that event, around, you know, making sure volunteers are getting boosted. Again, this is to protect themselves, but also really the teams as a whole that go out and survey people. We have also set new dates for our volunteer training. We are now looking at making training available February 2nd for the general count, and then we'll have a separate tailored training on February 3rd for the youth point in time count. Again, we will be continuing to, you know, flood your inboxes with this information, but at least for now, you can look forward to accessing or letting your staff and volunteers know they can access the training on those dates. We will also be making a second general volunteer training available on February 10th. So more to come. Jonathan, is there anything that else you want to add regarding this training? I know you were providing me with some information earlier.
Sure, yeah. So the February 10th date would be for the makeup training if you're unable to attend the live volunteer training. And that training will be made through your volunteer portal. So you'd log in there and then you'd be able to complete and watch the training there and answer a couple quiz questions to confirm that you actually viewed the training.
Great, thank you, Jonathan. And in regards to the soft count, I'm not sure if Nathan has logged on yet. Looking through the chat box just real quickly. I don't think he has, but that's okay. If we can move forward to the next slide, we wanted to announce the new dates for the soft count. We generally conduct the soft count 24 days before the count itself. And again, the purpose of the soft count is really to begin to identify areas that are hotspots where we know persons who are experiencing homelessness congregate. And Nathan from our Riverside County IT team has been instrumental in helping us get the survey opened on our mobile platform. And I spoke with him earlier today, and he has assured us that you know, the platform will be available during this time period for jurisdictions to begin to conduct the counts. So I know during the last meeting, he provided an overview of how to navigate the portal. If any of you missed that meeting, I wasn't there, I was on maternity leave, for example, but if you missed that meeting, what I basically want to say is that we can definitely schedule a makeup session with you. Just let us know and we will coordinate that. So new dates, January 31st through February 14th. And then the next slide, the slide before you, really just provides an overview of the types of information that will be made available for you to conduct the soft count. So again, we talked about the web map, which is available on the mobile app itself. We will also be providing jurisdictions with the PDF version, and then also a physical hard copy map will be requested. And we'll send out reminders as we get closer to these dates with deadlines to request those items, because we will need to know ahead of time so that we can print out the maps for you all. And so with that, we definitely want to recognize our youth point in time count leaders who have been instrumental in helping us with the youth point in time count. I know AJ, you are on the line. I just wanted to give you the platform in case you wanted to provide any updates.
Yes, thank you for that. And I do apologize if I start having a little bit of a coughing fit. Unfortunately, I was one of the chosen few that did happen to catch COVID in this recent surge. So I'm still out of the office, but I'm getting better. Still able to work remotely, so I apologize in advance. But I wanted to just take a couple moments and just kind of give you guys a couple quick updates. One, as far as our Come and Be Connected events, those are still in play. We are still going to be holding those. It's the only thing that is changed is the dates. So instead of being at the end of January, it's not going to be at the end of February. But we still are going to be working towards this. So we're still actively recruiting vendors. So if you are an agency that provides a service like housing, like for example, Starting Over Inc., I'm not sure if we reached out to you yet or not, but if you would be interested or be able to come to one of these events, set up a booth, so that way we can try and connect these youth that are homeless with some services and go from there. It all fits in with the motto of, you know, more than just a count, right? But what we're also trying to do is we're trying to get these youth to come to us. If you work with homeless youth in the past, they're notoriously difficult to locate. They're not, gonna, pitch a tent on the side of the freeway. More often than not, they're gonna do their best to either stay hidden, blend in, couch surf, live in their car, move around, not stay in a certain area, right? So with that, we want to make sure that we try to get them to come to us so that way we can count them as part of the count, so that way we can get more resources to them, so that way we can start working, chip away at the problem of youth homelessness. So another way that you can assist is by sharing the information about these events. So as Jonathan posted earlier, the social media accounts for the Rivco COC, you go on there, check out their posts, share it amongst your organization, so it's your followers. The more people that know about it, the more likelihood of success that we're going to have, because that's all that is going to come down to, is how many youth can we reach? Instagram, TikTok, whatever the case is, right? We're utilizing social media as much as possible to spread the word about this information, so that way these youth can not only, like I said, be counted, but also get resources. And I've been reaching out to the event sites. I've spoken to 3 out of the 5, and they're still committed to hosting the Come and Be Connected events, even with the change of dates. So a big shout out to them. Greg, I know you're on. You're awesome. You're always willing to step up, do what you can for these youth. And that's what it's going to take to help these youth that are in need. So with that in mind as well, we also need a lot of volunteers for the street-based count. The difference between the street-based count for the youth point in time count compared to the general count is it's done over 3 days. So it'll be conducted over the 23rd, 24th, and 25th from 2 to 8 p.m. So with this, we need as many boots in the ground as possible to go out to the field and try to survey and locate these youth and try to get them, like I said, counted, but also connect them with possible resources as well. So with that in mind, we definitely need more volunteers in the Hemet area as well as the Banning and Beaumont areas. So if you know of anybody in that area, please reach out to me. We can get connected with them. We're looking for youth-friendly volunteers. A youth-friendly volunteer is somebody that is just approachable, right? A lot of these youth can be intimidated or scared by talking to a stranger that, that's dressed up in a suit and tie and all professional, right? Anybody that's just, like I said, youth-friendly, approachable, has a nice, calm demeanor, that is the type of volunteer that we're looking for. So local church groups. So if you go to church on Sundays, you may want to ask your pastor if you have a youth group. They'd be a great opportunity for them to be able to assist with the point in time count. If you know somebody that's in a social work program, even better. Let's put some practice in play, right? As far as like your on-hands training, this is a golden opportunity to reach out and impact the lives of a youth. We all can attest, we're all here because we know that there's a homelessness issue that's going on in our county, but these youth have the greatest capacity for change. We catch them in a bad point in their life and be able to at least give them some of the services. And then the next thing you know, they're on to bigger and better things, right? One of my friends is a very good therapist, and she says that the youth have the greatest capacity to change, which is why she loves to work with them. So with that in mind, like I said, please register. We need volunteers. Reach out to friends, family, church groups, whoever. We will need as much help as possible to be able to identify these youth. Because, like I said, I work for Operation Safe House, the street outreach team, and we focus on homeless youth. And my phone is ringing constantly, all the time, and it's heartbreaking to be able to tell an 18-year-old who just got kicked out because his parents don't agree with his sexuality that unfortunately all the shelters are full. That's heartbreaking, right? We need to be able to identify these youth so that way we can get better resources, more funding, get these youth into a situation where they can start thriving instead of just surviving. So that's all I had.
Thank you for that update, AJ. Great updates. Thank you for speaking to the importance of youth homelessness. I saw that in the chat box. Somebody asked the question regarding when the soft count would be conducted. Jonathan, thank you for responding, but just in case any others missed it, the soft count will be conducted January 31st through February 14th. And we'll make sure to coordinate with you as we get closer to those dates to make sure that you have access to the mobile platform to conduct that count. The other announcement that I wanted to make is one of the cool things about the point in time count data that we collect and because we're using a mobile platform is that we are able to basically collect the location, the exact location, right, where people are surveyed. And so in years past, for populations, special populations like veterans, we've been able to essentially export list of where veterans who were identified during the count were located, and then share that information with street outreach teams and housing providers who serve veterans to help facilitate service linkages after the count. We very much still want to support that piece so that, right, we can, after the count, look at a map to identify where these hot spots are, and then use a targeted approach to make sure that our street outreach teams, which are currently active, can target those areas and offer services. Again, I stress that because I want to make sure that folks know that just because we're no longer doing the More Than a Count initiative, that, again, that doesn't mean that our work here stops. So just know that the data that we're collecting the day of the count will be used to facilitate those types of connections. That's the reason why data is so valuable. Also, I took advantage during AJ's update to send a message to Laura regarding the survey. It looks like the survey questions have been finalized, but Avalon, what I will do is go through the questions myself to, and then perhaps set up a call with you just so we can review those together to see if the information that you are looking to collect is included. So I will be reaching out to you, and if you can, and wouldn't mind, please type in your email box in the chat so I can circle back with you after this meeting. All right, and those are really all the updates we have. We want to thank you for getting together with us today. I'm not dismissing us yet because, as I promised earlier, I want to make sure that we, again, give you a chance to share your thoughts, feelings concerning the count. I think my specific questions to cities here is whether you are going to need additional support conducting those counts. As I mentioned earlier, we are focusing our efforts on recruiting county staff and want to make sure that we can deploy them to your jurisdictions. So please, I'll go ahead and take a pause here and give you guys a chance to provide any feedback.
What happened when you can't see the PowerPoint?
We can. I was just pausing to see if folks had any questions, comments. All right. If no one has any additional questions, then we will announce our next meeting date, which is set for February 10th, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Know that this will be the final meeting before the count. So between now and then, our communication with you will be done by way of email. We'll definitely be reaching out to you by phone or by email with any other important information, and as the training becomes available for volunteers to participate. But with that said, again, we want to thank you for joining us today. Very brief meeting, but again, my hope is that you're walking away knowing that we have more time to plan, and we look forward in working with you to use that time to really make sure we put together a good count that ensures we can identify where people are most in need. So thank you again for participating. We gift you back an hour and 15 minutes, actually 18 minutes of your time, and we'll be in touch with you, I'm sure, in the next couple of days and weeks ahead. Thank you. Dylan, your question regarding the date of the count. The date of the general count is February 23rd, and the youth point in time count will be conducted the 23rd through the 25th. Greg, the meeting time for our next meeting on February will be from 2 to 4 p.m. So same time. Thank you. And then Maria Machuca, hi there. Good to see you on here. When will the training for the service-based count be? Jonathan, do you have the answer to that? Have we set that yet, or do we still need to reschedule that?
Didn't we set it for February 2nd and 3rd?
So I know that the survey-based count trainings for the volunteers will be February 2nd. Her question is for the service-based count, the date that we go out and count the specific hotspots. So you know what, Maria, let me circle back with Laura. She is the holder of all this information. So I will get back to you on that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sorry, I stepped out when that was being presented and I'm like, let me just ask. But thank you so much.
Good
Bye,
question.
guys.
Good to
Stay
see you.
safe.
Thank you.